In 2024, Channing Tatum has been the subject of criticism multiple times, and even ridicule on the internet. After appearing in only one movie in 2023, this year he started off with significant roles in 3 films, portraying very different characters. This made me wonder, is 2024 really a good year for Tatum? Or are these just trashy movies? Is 2024 the year he finally proves he can be a good actor with hopes for a great future? Well, before we begin, I think I need to clarify that this video will be full of spoilers. After Magic Mike's Last Dance in 2023, Fly Me to the Moon premiered in July 2024. Since I don't usually watch trailer movies in full nowadays because of the abundance of spoilers, I only had a vague idea about this one. I thought it was going to be a typical romantic comedy with some conspiracy elements. However, it turned out to be something different. First, I was surprised that it lasted over 2 hours, when most rom-coms struggle to hit the 90-minute mark. Second, it wasn't a straightforward rom-com, and by that I mean the movie explores several themes to the point where the romance between Tatum's character and Scarlett's sometimes seems secondary. This was a frequent criticism I read, that the film was too long and had so many themes that it ultimately failed to focus on just one. I somewhat agree with this, but even though it exceeds 2 hours, I think the length was appropriate, considering the movie isn't solely focused on the romance. Now, is Tatum relevant or innovative here, or is he the same Tatum we know from all his previous rom-coms? Well, in my opinion, he's a bit of the romantic Tatum and a bit of the serious dramatic Tatum, which honestly isn't surprising. In fact, during several parts of the movie, we barely see him. It's more of a movie centered around Scarlett than Tatum himself. That's why with this role and starting 2024, I didn't think he got off on the right foot. If things had ended there, it would have been just another average year for him and his career. From what I read later, the other option for Tatum's role was Chris Evans, and honestly, I don't think it would have made much difference. What I found even more surprising happened just a few days after the premiere of Fly Me to the Moon, Tatum's cameo as Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine. As I mentioned earlier, I haven't been watching full trailers lately, but this time I didn't even watch any trailers at all. In fact, I hadn't read anything about the movie. The only thing I knew was that Hugh Jackman will be in it, and that was enough to get me to see it. Most people probably already knew that Gambit would be in the movie, and that Channing Tatum would be playing him, but for me, it was a complete surprise, which made the experience of seeing him even more exciting. Although I didn't know Gambit would appear, I didn't know that if he ever showed up in one of these movies, the actor would definitely have to be Channing Tatum. The guy has literally been dreaming of this role for years. Even as a kid, he was already a fan of Gambit. However, despite the announcement of a solo movie for him in 2014, after Tatum himself tried reaching out to directors and contributing ideas for the film, by 2019, once Disney acquired Fox, the movie's development was officially cancelled.
It was at Fox first, and I worked on it for like 6 years trying to get the standalone to happen, and then right on the 1 yard line, we were about to make the movie, and then Fox got bought by Disney, and like Kevin Kevin Feige runs Marvel. I love him so much. He literally was like, look, I love Gambit. I just don't know how to do it right now. Like, I don't know how he fits into what we're doing, and so I need to have a minute to figure it out. And now we've sort of cracked a little bit of the code, and hopefully.
This reminds me a bit of Ryan Reynolds' journey to get the Deadpool movie made, and it couldn't have been anyone else but him who supported the idea to keep the character alive. Tatum himself acknowledged Reynolds' help in a post on X, where he appears alongside him wearing a Gambit t-shirt and commenting, "I thought I had lost Gambit forever, but he felt for me in Gambit. I will owe him probably forever, because I'm not sure how could I ever do something that would be equal to what this has meant to me. I love you, buddy." But was the wait worth it? I'm of two minds about this. While I'm glad that Tatum finally got to play his dream character, I think the way the character was portrayed in the movie only fits Deadpool and not a potential solo movie. What I mean is that Gambit's character in the film is more of a joke or parody than a character who can be taken seriously when compared to the comics. In Deadpool, Gambit has an accent that even Wade mocks, and although some people like the costume, I found it a bit over the top. But again, I think that was intentional. If they were to make a solo movie based on his cameo in Deadpool, I think it will be more of a parody than something like the Gambit from the comics. So in the end, was it a good idea for Tatum to play him this way? Well, ultimately, I think the main goal was to reignite excitement for the character, and maybe create some fan pressure to finally get a solo movie made. If we stop there, I believe the character serves its purpose. However, some questions remain. For example, what kind of Gambit will we see in a solo movie? A more comedic version or something cooler? Putting aside any sentimentalism, is Channing Tatum the right choice to play Gambit in a version closer to the comics? What gives me hope is that, first, Ryan Reynolds has already mentioned that he would support the development of the movie in some way, and I think his vision is the right one, given that he successfully adapted a character like Deadpool. I'm also somewhat reassured because Tatum is a comic book fan, and I believe he will do his best to make everything as close to perfect as possible. However, I won't lie to you and say that when I think of Gambit, Tatum is the first actor that comes to mind. As many have said, Taylor Kitsch or Austin Butler might be more suitable, but despite this, I believe Tatum has the potential to portray a more serious, less ridiculous version. But why, despite all this and the jokes and memes that were made about his cameo, do I still believe in his potential? Well, to answer that, I think we need to look at his next movie this year, Bling Twice. I watched this film a week ago, so my opinion might change over time. For now, from my perspective, it's one of the best performances I've seen from Tatum, and yes, I'm aware that he hadn't had many standout performances. I don't think this one makes him deserving of an Oscar or anything like that, but I do believe he does well, and it's one of the few roles where he steps outside his usual mold, similar to what happened in Foxcatcher. Tatum plays a billionaire who, at first glance, seems like a caring man, truly remorseful about certain past scandals. When he invites Frida, played by Naomi Aki, to an island along with her friends and others, he always presents himself as somewhat very helpful, concerned about her well-being. It almost reminded me of Tatum's romantic comedy roles, and I think the character works for that reason as well. At first, it was difficult for me to associate Tatum with a villainous role because, in my mind, he doesn't fit that image, except for a few instances. However, in the end, everything is revealed, and he turns out to be quite a disturbing person. According to Aki, playing the villain at that point genuinely scared her.
How?
To be fair, you are really scary in this film.
So that made you cry really easily?
No, yeah. He made me cry. No, it was crazy because like Chan is Chan, right? It's like so lovely, and you're so goofy and like so welcoming and warm. And then he would do this look. Ooh, you don't even know how you do the look, but he'd do this look.
Especially the part when he repeats "I'm sorry" about 20 times. That's where you can see that Tatum can really act. Although I think his time as a villain was very brief, I would have liked to see a bit more of that side. So far, the movie has received the most positive reviews of the year, and I think I agree. Unlike the previous two, it showcases a serious side that isn't very common for him, and in the end, it works well. Partly because of this, I believe that 2024 has been one of Tatum's best years since maybe 2015 or 2014. In previous years, Tatum focused on voice acting or playing simpler roles that we were already familiar with. This year, Tatum basically showcased his acting resume. In Fly Me to the Moon, he showed that he can be a romantic character, but also serious enough for dramas. In Gambit, he displayed the comedic side of Tatum, clumsy yet skillful. And finally, in Bling Twice, he demonstrated his more serious, even villainous side. Additionally, he finally got to play Gambit, and although it was in a comedic way, I think it's a significant step toward fulfilling his dream of a solo movie. Based on what he has shown this year, I believe he deserves it.